Good morning, my dear friends, my dear brothers and sisters. In today's gospel, Jesus appears not only once but thrice. Thrice. Not only one but three times. First, to Mary Magdalene. After this, second time, Jesus appeared in another form to two of them as they were walking into the country. And later that day, he appeared to the 11 themselves as they were sitting at the table, and he upbraided them for their lack of faith and stubbornness because they had not believed those who saw him after he had risen. For all these three appearances, I would like to dwell my reflection today on the first appearance, that is, his appearance to Mary Magdalene, a woman. And the gospel says, when Mary told them that Jesus had appeared to her, they did not believe her. They did not believe her. Perhaps or maybe because Mary Magdalene is a woman. During the time of Jesus, women were considered voiceless. If you are a woman, you don't have an influential status. You belong to the margins and you were considered a voiceless. Perhaps that's the reason why they did not believe her. The message of today's gospel for me is very clear. My dear friends, my beloved brothers and sisters, you know what? The gospel for today is telling us that God will use nobody to transform everybody. God will use the weak to lead the strong. God will utilize the coward to persuade the brave. God will continue to use the humble people to shame the proud. And God will bring the ignorant to teach the arrogant. My dear brothers and sisters, God loves to use weak and insignificant people to do great things for the gospel. That's why today, if you feel like you are weak, nobody, ignorant, voiceless, no status in life, allow God to use you to transform and to beautify our world. Allow God to use you, my dear brothers and sisters. Even if people don't believe in you, like the experience of Mary, continue to tell the wonders about Jesus. You know what? God can use anyone, no matter how insignificant you appear. God uses ordinary people like you and me to do His extraordinary work. My dear friends, my dear brothers and sisters, you know what? Lack of faith is one of our problems today. Lack of faith. Why is that? Because today, people magnify the power of doubt, and more people worship the supremacy of reason over faith. Today, there are good numbers of those who still do not believe in Jesus. That is why the challenge in today's gospel is we are called to be an evangelizer. Go into the whole world and preach the good news to all creation. This is our mission. This is our mission, to go into all the world and proclaim the good news to the whole creation. But it is interesting to note today, my dear friends, my beloved brothers and sisters, start that world in your family. Start that world in your neighborhood. Why? Because we cannot spread this truth if, even in our own home, even in our backyard, our witnessing is shallow. Friends, my dear brothers and sisters, this is the command of the Lord, to go into the whole world and proclaim the gospel to everybody. The command of the Lord is to proclaim the truth about the love and mercy of God. But sometimes, as a missionary, I do not know if you experience this one, but as a missionary, sometimes we will encounter people who will discourage us. People, worst comes to worst, people who will persecute us and humiliate us. But have courage. Why? Like Peter and John in today's first reading from the Acts of the Apostles, chapter 4, verses 13 to 21. Like Peter and John, tell your persecutors, we must obey God rather than men. Obey God rather than men. Peter and John were uneducated individual, ordinary men, no special status. But the good news was God allows them to educate the rulers of their time. God used them to educate the elders and the scribes during their time. My dear brothers and sisters, let me end my reflection by saying, you know what? God will continue to use the insignificant people like you and me to do great things for the gospel. Today, allow yourself to be used by God to transform and to beautify our world. My dear brothers and sisters, always remember this. It is better to obey God rather than men. Follow the law of God and you will prosper. Amen.